Welcome to a Drop Tent Media production.
So in this episode of Seriously Dad, we're joined by Mel Harris. We got a new format for you. We're running through some different segments. We're going to talk about dad jokes. We're going to talk about should parents be drinking at kids' parties. We're going to learn a little bit about Mel and Mel's dad, and we're just going to get into some really cool topics. We hope you're enjoying the conversation and enjoyed this episode of Seriously Dad.
Seriously, Dad.
Seriously Dad. Two father comedians out of Philadelphia. Seriously Dad.
Dad. Seriously.
Dad.
Seriously. Seriously.
All right, we're back. We got another episode. Today I'm excited because we're doing a whole different format. We're trying some segments out today. We got Mel Harris in the house with us today.
Mel Harris.
And we're gonna kick it right off today. We're gonna start with dad jokes because hey, it's a dad podcast. We gotta have dad jokes. I mean, street jokes, whatever, things that are classic. And you guys you got one ready to go? I got one ready.
You got dad jokes vibe.
I got ready to go.
I feel like you've been holding this dad joke for a minute.
Yeah, I'm holding it. So a buddy of mine, he had just bought a new house and he got the whole deal, had a shed out back, and he was so proud of his workshop, and he brought me back there and he's like, yo, you got to check out all these tools. But he kept making a big deal about his stepladder. And I came to find out it was because he never knew his real ladder.
Okay, that works. I mean, that is a fucking dad joke. I like how you set that up. Set that. That was like a stage presence.
Yeah,
You know?
I was waiting.
Yeah. You really set that up.
Holding that one.
Yeah.
Two of that joke.
Fuck, man. Like dad jokes usually a sentence long. I got the one.
I got a little crazy.
Where
Dad wanted attention?
Mine is short. Listen, where do fruits go on vacation?
Where?
Paris. You see?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, guys, listen, I'm done. Actually,
I didn't write that.
I realized what we're doing. And I actually,
That is it.
Jay did the thing. You did the thing where where I think someone's baiting me. They don't start with a joke. They're telling me a story. It's a dad who's telling me a story.
Yeah.
And then at the end, there's this terrible joke, and I go
that was
this time is lost. I have nothing to gain from this.
At least we didn't lose any time.
Hey, but I was quick. You didn't lose any time.
Mine's even
All right, Mel.
faster, though.
Okay, hit it, Mel. Hit it. Boom.
Because it's stolen. And the person who probably created this will hear it and be like, "Was that mine?" You won't even have time to know it was yours. Dad walks into a room, sees his son masturbating, and he says, "Yo, if you keep masturbating, you will not be able to hear me." And the son says, "Huh?"
There you go.
There it is.
There it is.
I remember I used to get they used to do the talk where, you got to watch your palms are going to be hairy, all that nonsense.
Wait, if you jack off, they told you your palms will get hairy?
That you'll go blind, whatever, whatever they tell you at that point. Yeah.
Wow, that's a scare tactic. Wow, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It never
It
stopped.
didn't
anybody,
work.
though.
I know it didn't work. I know it didn't work at all.
Well, I had to double down because I had to find out.
You're waxing the palm of your hands. Nothing, Mom.
I should have an afro right here at this point. I should have an afro.
Yeah.
Seriously, Dad.
Stay tuned.
Seriously.
So next segment is going to be our debate of the week, and this week it is if you should drink at children's party. Should they offer alcohol either at a play date or a children's party? And I don't know, Mel, if you've been at a party like that and you've had.
It's funny. That's something, unfortunately or fortunately. I think that's a thing now. I think it's always been. Maybe it's a black community thing, but I swear, I want to say at the baby showers they drink. So before the baby even get here, they're drinking at the fucking baby shower. And the baby is running around, but he's not. He might get contact liquor. I get drunk, kiss.
Wait, isn't the baby shower before the baby's born, though?
Yeah, exactly. But I get drunk, I kiss the pregnant woman in her lips. And Then the liquor breath gets in her mouth, and the baby got headache.
You burp or something, and she breathes it in, and now you got the fumes.
That's too far. Well, I actually brought some beer today because we don't have any kids here, so I don't know if you guys are in.
Let me see. I don't even drink
You
beer,
can
but I'm
split.
gonna
This
drink
is
it
like
right
a New
now.
England. So I'll give a plug for this because I was just at this place by my house. It's called Rebel Hill.
Okay,
They're,
Rebel Hill
out
in
of
the house.
Phoenixville. They're amazing. Actually, the guy that bartends there, his name's Danny. He has a beer podcast.
Shout out to Danny.
And their fathers too. So I was telling him, I'm we'll have to do a collab one time.
Now, this is a bleed green. This is an
bleed
Eagles
green
thing?
because of the Eagles. Yep. So
This is
their
win yesterday?
flagship beer. It's like
It's pretty good.
It's a hazy New England IPA.
Oh, that's a good beer. Holy shit. Rebel
It's
Hill
real
killing
good.
it.
There's no children here. This is not a
Yes,
children's
this is-
party, so this is okay.
All the kids in our balls. This is
Yeah.
good.
But I hear you.
That is good beer. That is really good beer.
But I hear you saying, like, when we had parties, we had a diaper and beer party, and then like I had like a man shower where we went on a pub crawl, like, But like when the kids are around, I mean, like whatever. I mean,
think right now the thing is and this has changed just with the layout of society and the things that are offered to the adults and the things that the adults are interested in and that the teens and that the kids are interested in. There's no disparity. There's no difference. Like, I listen to this rapper. My son listens to this rapper.
Right.
I'm on social media. My son's on social
Yeah.
media. So now you have parties, gatherings, and things like that. The topics in the room aren't off limits. Whereas back in the day when I was
there's like the kids table.
when I was
Yeah.
6 to 10, in that age bracket, I couldn't go in the kitchen right now because they are in there
were
drinking.
doing, yeah.
And
you couldn't breach
couldn't.
you couldn't breach the doorway.
Yeah.
And if you did, they look at you like you're not supposed to be. in here.
you do like something
Yeah.
like roll a ball in the
Yeah,
kitchen.
they're like,
just
out
to
of
get your
bounds.
mom.
Yeah,
just
that's
to get
out of
your mom.
bounds.
Like, mom, me, hey.
Yeah. Now I want to go back. Man shower. That sounds like something you get at a strip club. Right? Your bachelor party.
Yeah, right. It does sound a little bit like
yeah,
that.
like Jay's going back for his man shower.
Yeah.
No, but I think I agree with Mel, and I know exactly what he's talking about. Now it's like and maybe it's because now I'm a parent, but like there's a baby shower, a child's birthday party. You show up, you got the gift for the little one, and your kid's like, hey, and then mom's usually or dad's got something under their arm, and it's usually booze of some sort.
Yeah.
And then it's like, to me, I feel like it just sets an example that like when we have fun, alcohol is there. And you're numbing them to the sensations or to the stimulation of alcohol.
Right.
My opinion. That's my personal
So
opinion.
you're saying like having it there, like that's the thing. When I talk and I teach world languages, so I'm like, we're doing Duolingo and they're having beer and wine in the vocab that's running through, and the kids are like, why is this in here? And it's like, well, that shouldn't be a big deal. Like, I studied abroad in Argentina when I was in high school, when I was 16, and like there, well, you could drink then, or it wasn't a big deal. Like I think we make such hype about it here. That like I think that's why like I looked up an article when we were talking about bringing the topic on, and it was like one mom was like, no, you should never serve any alcohol, and like I'm like at the same time the other one was like, yeah, I want to model what responsible drinking looks like too.
Well, that's great if it's responsible drinking, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the kids know when the parents get drunk? Or do the parents even get drunk? 'Cause I got to take that back. I haven't seen many parents getting lit.
Well, I'm from Scranton, so I feel
So
like
they all
you
got
saw,
lit.
like, you knew they were getting lit, but like as long as there's a designated sober parent nearby.
I think too, you just touched on something. You said Argentina, and I think overseas drinking responsibly is a little different because they're drinking on occasion, whereas here we drink because it's Tuesday and work was
Yeah, we're
frustrating.
trying to have like 6,
Yeah.
7 beers in a
Or-
row. They're having
yeah.
like 1 or 2 in a sitting.
Or Tom parked on my grass. The neighbor Tom parked on my grass. When he comes home, I'll fuck him up. So I'm about to get drunk. And I can't wait to see this motherfucker. But I got to get drunk to feel like I can't wait to see this motherfucker. That's different because overseas, they just chop your head off. In my house, though, son, go upstairs. I'm getting beer out, and I'm gonna fuck Tom up.
I'm going to drink till Tom
Yeah,
shows the
crazy.
fuck up.
So it's
And
on.
he could get buzzed. I could be buzzed. I could be
Yeah.
hammered, but I'm drinking till Tom shows
It's
up.
rare that we drink to be responsible. Like the worst shit happens when we get drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Over there, they just, I guess, again, it's certain. I shouldn't just say Argentina, but in general, like in France, like we like wine. We like the taste of wine. We like to sip wine. We like to.
It pairs with one food. Like,
different.
it's
Cheese
a whole
and
process.
all that bullshit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or you're
I
just
don't
having a
need to get drunk.
like, well, it's funny. So when I studied in Spain in college, and we were, typical college kids, and so we went to this restaurant nearest our school for lunch. Served, there for lunch. It's a big deal. You get 2 courses, you get bread and wine, and then after, the guy was really nice. He would bring us a little shot, an aperitif, and
Wait,
it was
how old were you?
at this point 19 or 20.
But other people drinking, they were like,
So at lunch, it was part of the menu for
That was
$8
par for the course.
For like
That's what it
$8,
was.
you were getting 2 courses, wine and bread, and then afterwards he brought a free, and it was always a liquor of a fruit, like a banana liquor and
Limoncello type of
whatever.
deal or something.
And so we would sit there as these 19-year-olds, like boom, popping them back, and he'd come over and be like, slowly,
Yeah.
enjoy, it's for digestion. And that's the first time I was like, oh wait, alcohol is not just for It tastes terrible. I'm drinking Bankers Club vodka. I just got to pour
Yeah,
it down my
in a
throat.
plastic
And
jug.
he's like, I just gave you a like really expensive liqueur on the house, and you're sitting here
you're
like a bunch of
throwing it
Jersey
back.
Shore Americans
Like
like
your
trying to
Apple
funnel it. you
Well, we
know?
do. America has a drinking problem, right?
We-
We
yeah.
have a drinking problem. We drink to get drunk. I don't know many people who aren't drinking to chill. Like,
Well,
we
that's,
do-
that's like because we're like the teenagers. We've been a country for what 250 years. They have
Right, we don't
they
have-
have
we got-
concert T-shirts older than us.
yeah,
Yeah,
right,
that's true.
right. So,
Shit, I didn't even think about that.
but I think that the thing that's interesting is it's not against the law to do that, right? So you can never like call the police and be like, "Hey, there's a party over there, and those parents are getting drunk with their kids." You know what I mean?
Well, you know what the bigger problem is? The parents who co-signed the high school parties. Did you have any parents?
Oh, yeah, the cool
I had
parents.
The cool
The
parents.
cool
They
parents,
would
yeah.
take your keys, and then there would be a lunch bag. If it was a school night, there would be a lunch bag. My one friend, his mom would make lunches for us, and we had to get as long as we were able to get to school the next day.
So
everything
she was
cool.
getting you drunk, and giving you a continental
Well, we
breakfast.
were
in a
allowed to.
school
We were
night.
allowed to drink.
Nice.
We would. It's first time I ever played flip cup was on a school night.
No shit.
Yeah, biggest mistake of my life.
Now, did you grow up to be a? Now you're probably more responsible than you were. But coming up, were you a more responsible drinker, or were you
I was
looping
a
it up with the
nightmare.
best
Like,
of them?
dude, the best story
Yeah.
I ever had was like we always had an older kid around. I worked in a kitchen, so there's like a 25-year-old cook. I got him to buy us beer. He bought us a case of Miller High Life
Oh,
and
man.
a case of Zima. Remember
Oh
Zima?
man! Oh man!
So
That's-
and, like,
that's
and we had to
action.
like meet in a back alley. He threw it in my car, and then I got ice in a cooler. We drove out into these cold hills where nobody could see us. Put the beer in, the Zima in, put the ice on top so you couldn't see anything. Put it back in my trunk. Gonna had the whole night planned. Well, I drive home. I don't realize this. My one mom's gone. My other mom's there. Normally because she wasn't technically my biological mom. She was like the stepmom. So she was pretty hands off with me unless I did something stupid. And I pulled up to go get my stuff from the house, and one of the other kids from school that I didn't really talk to pulled up, and I'm like, "Yo, we got beer." He's like, "You don't have beer." And so stupid me in front of my house pops my trunk, opens the cooler. She happens to be looking out the window, so now she comes barreling out, yells at me. I got to get the cooler inside, and then but she still let me go. Well, we dressed all in black. Went back through the alley once it was dark, and we knew. As she was yelling at me, I unlocked the back door to the porch, and like we came back. Operation Get Beer.
Oh,
back.
so you Ocean's 11, your
and
own beer.
But then we took the cooler out to the alley because we didn't want the rustling of the ice to wake. So this was all like Mission Impossible stuff. We leave a 6-pack of each, cover the ice back
so
up. Put it back in, and then sell the story that we were at a party, and sorry, Mom, if you're listening, we were at a party, and that we didn't want to seem uncool, so we each took one beer of each, and the 6 of us were going to try it.
Okay, and that worked. That went
That
over.
worked. Oh, dude, you kidding me? Didn't get
damn.
grounded.
Okay, that's a lot, man.
That's a tough sell.
But like, so I was reckless. I was
Yeah,
reckless. I was
I was
binge
reckless,
drinking. I was doing everything you weren't supposed to be doing. But now when I'm at a party, like, I got a special needs daughter. So that's when she needs me. She doesn't know how to play with other kids. Like a part of me wants to help her through that process too. So like for me, it's a little bit different, but I've been at a party where if they offer me a beer, I'm going to take it.
I always think the optics. That's what gets me is like if my daughter sees me drinking beer, 1, 2, 3 of them, I'm probably okay to drive a car. Like, let's be honest. But she's watching me do that, and I always feel like I am just showing her the wrong thing to do right off the rip before she knows anything. And that's what I don't like. I don't like modeling poor behavior.
And do you worry about any, because you're a custody parent, so do you worry about any of that getting back to mom or
Not
whatever?
so much.
Okay.
See, I'm not a huge drinker.
Yeah.
So it's never been. But here's the flip side to the coin. I'm not a huge drinker. I did have a period in my life where I was putting them back, boozing it up, staying up till 4 a.m, sending stupid text messages, embarrassed the next day. Forgot to close my tab. I'd done that whole thing.
Oh, I hate that.
But see, now and I'm at a point in my life where I like to smoke marijuana. I like to smoke weed. Right? Now, if we were at a party and the parents were in the kitchen or on the patio smoking weed, how would you? Now, you're someone who thinks drinking is kind of cool. How do you feel about if I was like smoking weed? Me and Mel are back there smoking weed.
Yeah,
and
that's
the kids
tough.
are running around.
Drugs. Look at me.
Yeah, well, it's hard.
Well,
because,
Mel sold them to me,
now,
actually.
First of all, I'd be like, "Why are you guys doing edibles?" First off, let's not have the smoke and have this other stuff. Like, why is there a skunk here, Daddy? Like, here's the other thing, because we don't have to have the conversation. As long as I don't have to have a conversation with my kid as a result of it, I probably won't care because that's you doing you. But like now, there's so many other easier ways to probably ingest it without having to like
Explain.
And now it's not a big deal. Like I walked out a city winery the other night with like my mom, and it was weird. We got hit with a cloud of like marijuana, and there were cops around. And it was like no big deal. It was just, everybody's just kind of like,
That was
oh yeah, we
Market
smell
Street,
marijuana
yeah.
now. It's like
Right, that's an
part of the
American thing.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's weird, dude, because we're not in Holland.
Yeah,
You know what I
right,
mean? You didn't
exactly.
grow up when you were 5 and like, oh yeah, that's a
But yeah,
smell.
you're right. I mean, like I said, I think the bottom line is if something goes down and something happens and your kid gets injured on the jungle gym,
Yeah.
are you able in that moment to act
be
and
sharp.
do? Because like I don't know if we talked about this before, but I had like my daughter choked at a family party. Somebody fed her a little
Yeah,
bit of
you
an
told- you
apple
were telling
chunk
us
that
that,
was
yeah.
too high, and I had to jump in and do the whole deal, the back and forth,
Oof.
and commit. I think so things like that sober you up. So if you've had
Yeah.
one drink, whatever, you're still fine. But know your I think anybody says know your limits, know what you can. And if you're doing it to escape and not be a parent, then maybe you should be rethinking it. If you've had a hard week and you just need a minute, or if you have social anxiety and it'll help you depending on who you have to interact with. All right, hey, we all take prescriptions for something. So that's your prescription. As long as you know your dosage and you've talked with your doctor, then that's your journey,
Yeah.
I think with me, when I'm out with my son, the drinking is minimal, if at all. Just because my son's 15 and now I think he knows we watch a lot of sports, so he knows like the dangers of drinking and driving.
Yep.
We see all the commercials.
Yeah.
We listen to sports talk radio, so these commercials come up a lot. Texting and driving commercials come up a lot when I'm in a car with him now.
Right.
So now I won't text like that when I'm with him. So I do drink. We play video games. And usually if I have and I'm a tequila drinker, so if I drink tequila,
Nice.
I put my cup on the side of me, I'm playing. He usually beats me because my faculties ain't all there. I'm messed up. So he's probably like, I'll never be a drinker because I'll start losing video
Drinking
games.
makes you a loser. My dad's a
Makes you
loser.
Reverse
suck.
psychology.
This dude done
With
lost
Mel
by
Harris.
30 points and
right.
still smiling. Like,
Talking shit.
who wants to
He's
lose by
like-
30, smile and talk shit when you
Yeah.
can just be a winner? But one thing I did do, I was very upfront about him about when I started to drink. I had the taste of liquor prior to going off to college, but I told him in the summer of, the summertime in between going to college and high school, I did start to drink more. And then in like my second year of college, when I realized I wasn't even doing anything there, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just start drinking. I said, and I like liquor, and that was my thing. But I said, you have to know what's right for you and when it's right for you.
Yeah.
I said, there's a lot of kids that are gonna drink at an early age. There are kids now that are 15 that drink. I said, but you also have to understand what comes with that, what responsibilities come with drinking. You haven't even driven a car yet, so. Your faculties ain't ready to learn the shit you need to learn, do the things you need to do once you start drinking. They're not there. You're not there yet. I was already out of the house and doing certain stuff before I attempted to like.
So you grew up a little you grew up a little faster. So you had the opportunity to taste a little something, whatever.
Yeah,
So,
like in my
When did you have your first drink? Do you remember?
my mom gave it to me.
How old were you?
You had
How old
to
were
tell
you?
on your mom like that, bro.
Yeah,
You didn't have
I
to
was
do all that.
I was probably about 3 or 4. And I know that sounds crazy, but I gotta.
When you say drink, were we talking like a sip and you spit it out? Or
I had
what?
wine.
Okay.
I had wine early.
Yeah, I mean, like,
And I had a headache. But that's the only thing. Like, if how when you're a kid, you don't remember everything because you're too young.
Yeah.
But you just remember
Flashes.
as they say, how it made you feel.
Yeah.
And I remember tasting wine, and I got a headache. But I got a picture of it. That's why I'm.
oh my God, that's great.
Yeah, people.
I'm trying to think of when I first.
I
It was
older.
probably wine, or it's probably like the ice cubes of a drink that had been sitting with
Like
a little
second
bit of
drink?
Yeah, and I was like, go help us clear off the table. You're like, oh shit,
Right.
We never had it in the house.
No.
Like my mom,
Sorry.
we
No, send me that picture, but don't worry about it right now. Afterwards, I'll put it
Okay.
up right now
Okay.
because
All right,
we can edit it
perfect.
in
Yeah,
post.
awesome.
Send it
So,
to me, and then I'll put it
that's
up
great.
now.
we never. So my mom's. We never had it. We never had it in the house. Just they never. I did not see my mom drunk until my high school graduation party.
Nice.
Like she just never was a big thing for her. And now my dad, I didn't see him much growing up, but when we did the every other weekend thing, he worked for the liquor control board. He ran a liquor
wow.
store. So when I did see him, I was often in the back with my GI Joes jumping off the peach schnapps boxes. You know what I mean? Like so, I was around it. I was around it. I saw him sell it to people, but you also see the riffraff that sometimes would come in. So
Like-
you
like a
kind
tr-
of
like a true drunk type of thing.
And, then
Yeah.
and growing up in Scranton and Carbondale, like I have some of my closest friends who I've lost. I don't talk to this day because they went down a different path and I couldn't follow them. I had seen what it did to my mom's mom, when she was alive, and she was like one of my favorite people to be around. But dude, she had like Spuds McKenzie, like she had all the gear. That's how much she drank that they were sending her merch.
wow.
They were like,
yeah.
"You need the merch."
You're an
She had the
influencer.
Winston
She was
jacket
an
from the
influencer
cigarettes.
before-
like-
she was an influencer
so
before-
it was always around. I could always smell it. She would take me to the bars in Philly where they had like shuffleboard on the floor. Like they brought me around. I would get my Roy Rogers or Shirley Temple,
Okay.
and it was what it was. So I was around it, and I saw the effects, and I think my mom saw the effects of what it had on her mom.
Yeah.
And so I think people feel that if they've had somebody like that, then you kind of shy away. But I like to drink.
You do like to drink. Well, but one of the things that's interesting or that I think is important is like if you have like a grandfather who was an alcoholic, a grandmother, a mother, or someone's alcoholic, for your kids, you got to keep in mind that they could have some of that gene going in them.
Right.
And their experience with alcohol could be very, very different than
serious.
someone else.
It's no joke.
Alcoholism and being an alcoholic, that is serious shit. That's not a laughing matter. People laugh about it on stage sometimes, alcohol. That shit will fuck your world up. And if you don't explain that to your kid, like, listen, you think you're going to go to that party and drink a little bit of tequila and play video games. That works for them.
Yeah.
You're wired a little differently. You start hitting that tequila, your world's going to... and explaining that I think is probably a huge
My best
challenge.
friend from childhood, and I won't say his name because I didn't ask him ahead of time, but was just so.
Let me say it.
So great now, so great. But so we knew each other since really young. But then after college, we moved in together, and it was right by where I went to school at Ursinus. And so some of my fraternity brothers were having parties, and they invited him to come over. Well, he brought like some of his frat from a different university, and they were like making the girls uncomfortable. And he's like, "Hey," my frat brothers hit me up. They're like, "Hey, your buddy was over, but like we think he stole our liquor." Like, what do you mean? So I went in our freezer, and I kid you not,
He had the
6
liquor from the-
bottles of all these different
Damn.
liquors, and he swore that he didn't do it. Like, would look me right in the face.
He would just lie to you.
We moved in with new people after that. They had a bottle of vodka in the freezer, and they had to work, so they couldn't get back till later. I saw the bottle was open, and I saw him with a Dixie cup on the corner with one of his buddies, and I walked in. I'm like, "What do you got there?" And he's like, "Water." And I'm
yeah,
like, what? And
alcoholics don't
he's
drink water.
still to like when people buy in like that.
Yeah.
When it's people that I've known since we were like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's what showed me like, wow, if it's a thing. Like if a switch flips like that in you, and you can do that to someone, that's not the same person. That
No, that's not
wasn't
the
my
same
friend.
person. Yeah,
That
that's
was
not. You're
him.
not a weekend drinker at that point.
Thankfully,
you got
he's
a problem.
gotten himself clean. He's in a great position now. He's doing great things with himself, and I'm so proud of him for that.
Yeah.
But there was a scary period there where I just hate to see that. You know?
It is good when you see someone turn their life around.
Oh my God,
When
I've
you
had
see someone
several that
control.
have done
Yeah,
that.
You know what's bad though? We sit and we can have these conversations, and unfortunately, because of what's popular now or what makes sense to throw out as a hazard, you don't have these conversations in school anymore. There was a time when I knew we were going to get a guest drop in to tell us how his life was changed.
got fucked up
How
from
it turned
drinking,
around.
from doing something fucked up. Yeah.
I remember the videos, like the in
After
health
school
class,
specials,
the after
whatever.
school
Yeah,
special.
yeah.
Todd gets drunk and falls on the train track. Now his foot is stuck.
Yeah.
I learned it by watching you, Dad.
Exactly. Like that stuff we joked about in class, but it actually was a little bit.
It struck a
A
chord.
few
It
of us,
struck a-
yeah,
it
we're
struck
like,
a
oh,
chord.
I ain't drinking. Like, you see this? But now that's not present anymore.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So at some point, you would hope that. I don't know how because we've gone so far with like social media and all these other things.
Right, that's
how
the
do you
thing.
get back
There's
to
so
the
many
basics
jumps.
of
There's so many jumps.
yeah, like
it's
alcoholism and
Yeah.
credit and yeah, like
no, this is all real stuff.
yeah, these are all things that we need to coach. I had a credit talk with my kid last week, and it felt weird, but I'm like, bro, I got a Discover card in in college. The guy set up a table right outside of our cafeteria.
Oh, was just preying on high school kids.
What's
yeah.
what they do at the like Citizens Bank party?
Yeah,
Going in there
yeah.
saying, "Oh, you want a free credit
They're
card?
like, we'll give you a basketball.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
they're
a
like, yeah,
basketball
okay, sign
umbrella.
up.
Like
Yeah, sign
the
up.
Deli News. You can get the
Yeah.
Deli News if you get a Discover card. I'm like, I don't even read.
Yeah,
I'll take that card. Like,
Yeah.
You got the comics.
yeah. So I broke them down on credit, and I'm like, this should really be taught in
No,
your
you're
school.
prep. You got to prep.
Well, meanwhile,
for
that
life.
credit card's like 17% APR or something
23. I think
ridiculous.
I saw one with 23.
You know, like
Bro,
something
yeah,
nonsense. But
Oh my god.
I had
right.
I had an interesting moment when it comes to alcohol. So I grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania, spent a lot of time there. Sayre, Pennsylvania, what up? And there was these are small towns. These are you know the other athletes from the other towns. You just people you know stuff. So there was a guy in a neighboring town. His father was a police officer. I think he may have been the chief of police. He was a tall, light-skinned fella, good at basketball, slim kid. He kind of resembled me. Unfortunately, he got struck by a drunk driver, and he died. My mother worked at the hospital, and is a physician, and in the emergency room, and she saw like from the side, like look, like just saw like the not the silhouette, but like a glancing look at like what was going. And she told me she called me very shortly after because her heart dropped because she thought that was me.
because the resemblance.
Because
or
there was
whatever.
and like and was panicking and like say just like Mel said, like I wasn't like I'll never touch alcohol, but I'd always kind of thought about like, okay, people get drunk, they drive cars, bad things happen, like you don't need to do that, know when to stop, like, and that stuck with me for a really long time because in my lifetime very very seldom could be seen consuming alcohol and then driving a motor
Yeah, especially if
vehicle,
something
you know?
happened. And it was a weird scenario. I was at Rebel Hill and I saw a guy there and he had a bassinet next to him by himself. Bassinet kid couldn't have been more than 5. I think he said like so. One of the
Damn.
women came over 4 or 5 months. Like we're talking young, and it's right on the floor there. So like the one guy was like walking up. I'm like, oh dude, you almost kicked the thing
Kicked the
without
baby.
realizing. 'Cause you're not
Wow,
looking
dude.
down. And like the guy seemed like whatever. He's just like a hipster kind of dude, but
Yeah.
like. I hate judging people, but I was kind of like, dude, what are you doing? Like, even if you've had one of
The
these
optics of that
8%,
is such.
and now you got to get this kid in the car. Like it just to me, like I remember driving home from the hospital. It was like the ending scene of what's the Knocked Up. When he's like driving like 10 miles an hour down
yeah.
the thing because you're just nervous. You got a kid, like
Yeah,
4 months.
that's-
So I was like, and he had mentioned it was his first, and I was like, wow, that takes some guts. Like I don't
got some
know,
balls.
I would want any impairment in me.
Yeah,
I mean, that kid deserves every chance until they're able to like buckle themselves or brace themselves.
Right.
So like that, and I know it's such an innocent thing, but but still, it was like it hit me. I was thinking about. I knew we were going to be talking about this, and
Yeah.
at that moment, I just flashed in my head. I was like, oh man, everybody's just like, oh, let's hold the baby. I'm like, yeah, Dad's.
Let's talk
drinking.
about why Dad's
having
in
an
here.
8%
Yeah, yeah.
beer right now. It's like-
That's housing that double IPA
yeah,
like
and
a
it's
champ,
not like,
yeah.
and he's not with mom, so mom's driving or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that kind of stuff to me is like that's the stuff where I think people get crazy about it.
Like Mel, have you ever been in a situation where you're like middle of the day, 3 o'clock in the afternoon with your kid, and you're like, man, I need something to drink.
That's,
No, right? I never.
I mean, I've gone out, but I've had one beer, and then we've had food, and we stayed an hour.
Yes, one beer is. I think one beer.
The
I
guy
think
came
one
up to
beer
me,
is
he's like,
cool.
you
If
want
have-
another one? And he called it Daddy's orange juice.
Oh,
He's like, I was like, no.
weirdo.
I was like, yeah, it was weird. But I was like, no, we just got out of a movie. We went to, we actually stayed in the shopping thing and went over to Target after. So it was like, but that's, to me, that was all right. But the place we were at doesn't serve food. Like the Rebel Hill, they don't serve food.
They don't serve food. Oh,
So
gosh.
it's just
He
like, so
can't
there
even-
was
he can't even
no,
wash it
like,
down with
you know
some
what I
French
mean?
fries.
Like, but yeah, so but there are, not to say there's people like that. There are plenty of dads out there that are great, which is sort of a perfect segue in our next segment, which is Dad of the Week. So I thought we'd take a moment. It doesn't have to be a local; it could be someone personal. Like for me, I was thinking about this. My brother-in-law. I have 2 brother-in-laws. One's locked up. The other one, so it's a low bar maybe in my opinion. But Michael Hurling is this guy. I didn't tell him ahead of time, so he's to me like I didn't have a brother. I'm an only child, so like and I didn't have a dad necessarily around in a traditional sense. So like for me, I watch him. They got 3 kids now. We both got married about the same time. It's my wife's younger sister's husband, and just a good dude. He actually decided to be a stay-at-home dad because my sister-in-law is a VA nurse and was getting pretty good. And so not only was he stay home, but then he found his passion, which is woodwork. And so
Nice.
he built a woodworking shed, and now he does these beautiful like any
yeah.
kind of projects, and he's huge on TikTok. So if you
Nice.
on TikTok, Instagram, it's Hurling Hardwood. I think I put it, Neil, in the show notes. Hurling Handcraft Hardwood. He does really cool videos now, and he's actually getting paid. He's monetized. They're sending him gear.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That's
so he
nice.
gets to be a dad all day, and then like when she's home or whatever, and they're sleeping 10 o'clock at night to 2 a.m., he goes in
Nice.
the workshop, does the deal,
man.
and he's
That's a
just
nice
found
move.
a way to just provide for his family, be present, and he's the kind of guy that just gets down on the floor with the kids.
Yeah.
you know,
he's
something
supposed
that
to.
to me, like I'm like, 'cause I don't want to get down there because it's gonna be hard to get up, honestly. but him, he's just so much fun, and I there's a lot, and I saw him grow up because we've known each other for 16 years since he was in college, and I've just seen him grow up and see it, and I've just even though he's a little younger than me, definitely look up to him in certain facets. Yeah.
Yeah, for people at home, you can actually. I've got it displayed, so you can jump over to the YouTube now and you can check out some of his work on Instagram.
Yeah,
Or just
dude,
go over
he's
there.
hitting up.
Yeah,
Like
that's
he's
nice.
hitting up.
Follow
He's
him
taking
now.
a school bus now, and he's revamping it into like an RV. Dude,
he's
so
on-
cool.
Oh my god.
How much does school bus cost? He tell you?
I forget what it is, but it's a nice one. Look at that. It's a
That
nice
is a
one.
nice one. Yeah, you
I
can
want to
see-
do some shows on a school bus.
dude.
like do some stand up.
Yep.
Call
be
my
fun.
man. He's gonna have a fucking mansion
yeah,
on the school
we'll
bus
do
soon.
that. Yeah, I'll tell him the next one will
I
be
like
a,
stuff like
a
that.
comedy club school bus.
Yeah,
That's what I'll have him
There
do.
you go, comedy bus.
Yeah.
That's like that. But then they have a show with the taxi cab where you
Yeah,
answer
right.
questions.
Cab. Yeah,
I
yeah.
like that.
Ben Bailey's coming to Soul Jules soon.
Oh, is
I
he?
think. Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
You got a dad of the week, bro.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go with my dad. And,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
And I think I'm gonna use him only because I don't have this opportunity. This is my first time being on here, and I figure this will tie into other stuff we talk about later. But my dad is he has instilled some stuff in me that has made me a good dad by society's, whatever. I don't call myself a good dad. I am called a good dad, but I always quickly revert to my dad. I say everything that I do is a product of how I was raised and the stuff that my dad did for me. So it's weird because like for a while people were just like, do you do anything like without your son? And I'm like, no. And it's crazy because, and I don't want to cut too much into this because we're going to talk about him later, but like ball game, like every basketball game I go to, now he's even been going to AC with me for the Atlantic City Comedy Club shows.
Okay.
It's like I was one of those kids that literally I went to night school with my dad when he was going to night school. I went with my dad when he was playing like rec basketball and like
Really?
leagues and stuff like this. This is like
Yeah.
in his 20s. He was like in community college taking courses like in he was going to like some kind of like I don't know, what do you call it?
Now, was that out of necessity, or was he bringing you around because he wanted you to be around?
He just kind of wanted me there. It was like I was a backpack. Dora had the backpack. I was the backpack. And
that's
I
awesome.
literally was everywhere. But when in the 80s, it's funny because we're getting back into biking now in the city. We got bike lanes and all that.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, you guys are building way too much stuff to put bike lanes in with SEPTA buses and crackheads. So it's like, yeah, we got to figure out a
Crackhead
lane
lane,
for
bike
regular
lane.
folk to drive in
lane.
now. Yeah, like, hey, I'm here. Let me suck your dick. No, but he used to take me like I didn't miss an event. I didn't miss this. I didn't miss that. I was everywhere he was. And I think it was just him showing me like this is how you be a dad. This is like what I'm doing. You should be able to
So
do.
is your dad like your best friend? He was like your best friend?
When I was coming up, yeah, like
Yeah.
he was, and then I was like, this dude kind of boring. But after, like,
We talked about the end of the first episode was like that.
then like you find out
what
like your
happens.
personality is different, and you're like like. You like old school porn. I like the new stuff.
I like that shit.
I saw those. I saw the VHS tapes, bro. Like you like all that hair. Like I don't like that.
I like that shaved shit.
Yeah, come on, bro. Like
I was the same way though. My dad was my fucking hero.
Yeah.
My dad was the coolest dude going. Like not everyone has this relationship with their dad, but I thought everything my dad did was cool. I remember him being extremely athletic when I was younger. He could do all the sports I wanted, and like now in hindsight, I realize like he was pretty fucking good at them. But and I just thought he was the coolest dude. I thought everything he did was cool. The stuff he said was cool. The way he walked, the stuff I wanted to wear his clothes. Like I was just like the coolest dude
I like
that I
You see
knew.
the clothes. So my dad used to do the Broad Street Run every year, and I used to take his T-shirts and wear them to
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
and like using the Broad Street Run, like
Kind of. My dad made me run with him because
whatever. I was on his back.
I was on his
I was a fucking backpack. But yeah,
yeah. It's like, dude, my dad was. It's like, Tiger wasn't his dad. Like, if my dad was teaching me how to swing a golf club at that age, I would have been doing it because everything he did. I just thought was so fucking cool. Just he's such a cool dude.
you gotta go into his dad of the week. Too.
Yeah, what's your
Oh, my dad of the week. I have a very good friend. Marlon Walker. He lives in Virginia, and he's just one of these dudes who was always a great friend of mine. To this day, he's a great friend of mine. But as he became a family man and started having kids, and he just changed his. He was never a bad person. He wasn't a negative person, but he just embraced being a father and being so good at being a father that it's like admirable at all times. You know what I mean? I know he's had some kids of his own. The woman he married had a child before he came in. He accepted that responsibility. He has built a good relationship with that young man's father, so they can do a really good job co-parenting.
Wow, that's important. I've heard some great stories.
That's
like that.
yeah, and he's a good dad. He's just a good dad. Is he the best dad in the world? Probably not. It's still probably me, but you know, he is he is fucking awesome. He is an awesome dad, and it's good to see him just be involved in stuff, you know what I mean? And that's because that's all we want as parents. You
Well,
just
especially
be
said that some of
involved.
them aren't his that he's taking
Yeah,
care of.
yeah.
Which again, to you credit, because we talked about this before, where you have your daughter Lainey, but then
Yeah.
her sister, who's
Right.
not yours, but you coming along when
Yeah,
it's Al's night.
no
they're
daughter
both
left
there.
behind. Yeah, let's
No
go. let's
daughter
go.
left
yeah,
behind.
I'm not
But
doing
like
that.
that's cool because I mean, and if I think there's plenty of dads like I didn't have that relationship with I wanted that relationship. My dad wasn't ready. He wasn't in a position where he could be that. He was still working himself out, and now we have a good relationship. But like anybody who's listening to this, who's a dad, that's like, oh man, you know what? I'm not spending as much time with my kid as I should. That kid adores you. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
that you haven't been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like I know, I looked up. I used to fail my eye test because my dad had glasses, and I knew that about him. So I would fail my eye test in elementary school to get glasses.
Oh, shit.
Dude, I kid you not. I had asked my third grade teacher.
Oh, my God.
It was like you had to.
That's
We had to
awesome.
draw like what our parents did for work, and I had to ask I had asked the nun how to spell liquor because he worked for the liquor store.
Oh, nice.
Because outside is like wine and liquors, and I was
He's like,
trying to like spell it. It's like no matter how far they're
LICK.
away, like if you're that dad, because I've had plenty of friends of mine who had created kids and then didn't stick around.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you're away, that kid adores you. So like,
That is 100% true.
Go back
That's
and do it.
100% true. Like it's probably the same with moms, but like, because I used to tell my mom that I was afraid that my daughter wasn't gonna like love me as a father and like understand what I do as a father. And she said, that child is going to love you regardless.
Yep.
Like stop thinking that. Like it takes a lot for someone to do a 180 on their parents.
Yep.
It takes a lot.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't do this. She's like, stop telling yourself that. You just keep on being present, doing everything you need to do, and you're going to be fine. Stop thinking that someone is going to be able to turn that little girl away from you because that's not the case. And that is some true as shit.
That's true. We
As
tell
true
that
as
with
can
teachers.
be.
Like as teachers, like when the younger teachers come in or people worried about I'm going to mess up a kid or I'm not the best. There's an imposter syndrome that
Yeah.
I think comes with any of these when you're in charge of kids. And when I mentor younger teachers now, that's what I say. I'm like, there's nothing you could do to mess a kid up unless you are trying to actively harm that kid.
Yeah.
No matter if you didn't have the best research model of whatever, if you care about that kid's going to feel
And you
that.
put their
They're
wellness,
gonna
health,
know- I used to-
wellness,
yeah,
mental first,
that's
you'll be
right.
fine.
Unless
That's
you're in
it.
Philly where the kids actively will come at you
Yeah.
and kill you. No, cut my mic off. Cut this off.
then you can harm it. Then you can
Guy's
harm
been
it.
drinking tequila.
This is empty.
Well, actually,
There you go.
Well, this is time
I
to
got
talk.
the IPAs in me.
This is our
Oh,
time.
good.
This is our
Now we talk
final
about having
segment
the
where we get to
IPA.
talk a little bit more about you. So yeah, tell us. You talked about having a 15-year-old son.
Yeah.
Is that your only son?
Yeah. So Miles, growing up, I met Miles's mom, and she had a son already. So he was 3, and I took that on as responsibility. And
Beautiful.
Still
Standing
do.
ovation.
That's still my son. You know, I look at it as those are my boys. And Miles, he's kind of coming to his own. He's 15 years old, goes to Central High School. You know, he's an honor roll kid and all that good stuff, sports
Nice.
fan. One of the things, so I guess I'll backtrack. Back in like 2015, me and his mother split. But for the sake of everything, and we're both, she's the dopest parent I could have chosen to have a baby by. Things work. things just work. Like Miles is good. You know, you learn stuff in the beginning about yourself, and I think you probably went through this. You overdo it as a parent when you're not living with that kid.
Oh
when that
yeah,
kid's
you
with
go
his
so
parent
hard
the
at
first time.
parent. He goes so
Yeah,
hard
he comes
at
to my
parent.
house.
Oh my god.
Like he was coming to my house and like, we gonna just stop in Disney World real quick.
Yeah, on the way home. On the way
home.
Yeah,
I mean,
Was it 7? So he was about 7 or 8 when
yeah,
that's
he
what
was about
happened,
7 or 8,
essentially?
and I was so scared that he would start messing up in school or this and that. And he had bad behaviors, but this was prior to me leaving. He was bad. I'm like, oh, now he's gonna be terrible.
Can I ask how you approached? Like, did you guys have a conversation? Like, my parents divorced before I was 2, so there was no conversation. But like, did you guys have a sit down or what?
Yeah. She was like, get out, and I was like, all right. I was like, can I get my game?
Yeah.
Can I get one of the controllers? Something? Because I'm gonna have friends over. Yeah. So no, but yeah, we talked. We kind of knew that things were going to end, and it wasn't because of like anything bad. Like she didn't know I was cheating, but no. We had these conversations like, hey, I'm doing this and I want to go this way, and then she's like, oh, you should go this way. And I'm not gonna lie, this was at the time I really started dabbling in comedy.
Yeah, comedy.
And I will tell you this though. A lot of people are just like, yo, you should be here. You should have been there by now. Or you should have this. I purposely and would not do it again. I mean, would not follow the same path. I purposely stopped comedy a number of times for the kid because it's like I need the development stage. There's certain stuff you want to see as a parent.
Yeah.
So if it meant ignoring March, February, January because the kid's starting to walk. Yeah, I gotta be there. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like
it's
I'm
soccer
sorry.
season. Like my daughter plays. I love soccer games.
Yeah.
I don't like the parents at soccer games.
Right.
But I love watching. My daughter first started playing soccer. She was horrible.
Okay.
And I was like, maybe she's more of an artsy chick. You know what I mean?
Right,
Artsy girl. Excuse me. I shouldn't call my daughter chick. Anyway, now she's getting good. And like to miss out those. I wouldn't miss those games I would not even consider missing one.
Yeah.
I don't want to be late to one.
Right.
So I know what you mean. Like those moments because you ain't gonna get them back.
different.
Seriously, Dad.
Stay tuned.
Seriously?
Yeah, so it's like you know, you it's little parts of your life you cut out for your kid, regardless of what you're doing. I don't care if you're a comic, if you're a firefighter, whatever. You have to give your kid that time because as we always get hit with that reality. I know it's cliche, like the kid didn't have to be here. So it's like, you know, why not give it to him? But I've only known that. I've only known, again, because of my dad, going back to him, sacrificing time and bringing him and involving the kid in whatever you're doing. If that means slowing up what you're doing, then you're slowing up what you're doing. My dad, you know, he was a trash man back in the day, but he bought real estate. I used to be there when he was chopping the walls up and all that stuff.
He demo?
Demo work.
Cool.
He'd put like a little mask over my face and tell me to stay in the corner. He'd pee in bottles because the house wasn't done yet. So there was no bathroom. So like I saw all that stuff and I ran from it. I never want to do that shit. I still don't. I'm never doing none of the stuff he did. But it was just the involvement. So that in itself is what makes me bring him in at times. Like he's like, I'm doing this. I want you to see what I'm doing. I want you to see this. One thing about me that I will say I mirror from my dad, even though I'm not chopping up houses and shit. I don't. I find something to do with my time.
Yeah.
I like at all times. Like people are like, yo, I was on your IG story and you don't sit down. Like, nah, I'm literally
moving.
If I'm at a bar, I'm at that bar talking to them about comedy shows and why they should have shows there.
Right.
And if I'm, here or over there staying at the food truck, that's because me and that food truck have a business thing that we want to do, want to start something up. So everything that I do are my things that I do. I have a day job, but away from that day job are all about I guess the next thing, or like, hey, I want to do this. I just
grinding. You're
it's like I'm not wasting time.
You're
like,
getting that work.
I'm glad you said that because I feel like I'm getting some heat stuff from people who don't realize there's like, oh, you're everywhere, like you're with your family. I'm like, first of all, I'm handling my business, so settle down.
Yeah.
Right. I wouldn't
Because
be
every
out there
time
if I
I'm out,
wasn't,
I'm doing something, and it's at the office. My wife
not
and
to waste
I,
time. Yeah,
but like I think when people see that they don't know all of the grind that it goes in. So I'm happy. I'm glad
a lot
to
of
hear
that is is I always called your web. Like I have a web like of people. You've been to the attic. You know, you've done the
I
attic.
love that
too.
post you put out the other day.
Yeah, Burrito Feliz. That food truck.
Yeah.
They saw what we were doing in there as far as the comedy shows, and they're like, we want to link with you. We want to be exclusive to your shows. Neil too, he's been through, and they're like, is that okay with you? And I'm like, you're Philly Magazine's #1 taco barista truck. Like, why would I tell you no? Like, when you come here, the people come here. Now the people come there and stay there because it's like now they're getting this comedy show. But that all happened from my relationships with people. So I've popped in. People see me at Herman's Cafe down in South Philly. Like, why are you down there? Because Burrito Feliz is here, and I have a relationship with them. So, and now Herman's, I have a relationship with them, and it's like it's a web. But one thing I don't do, I don't waste time in places anymore. Like I don't sit in places where I'm just buying time. I'm here for opportunities. I'm here for the web. I'm here to grow my web.
To meet somebody,
of people.
to build that network, right?
To
right.
network.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. I'm so glad you stopped in. Did you know that? And I've told you this before. Like, you were one of the first mics I ever went to when I first started comedy. Was when you did it outdoors during like the pandemic.
The pandemic.
And I went up there, and I'd only ever done like 3 or 4 minutes at Soul Jewels a couple times. And I went up there, and I almost talked myself out of not going. Like, what are you doing down here, dude? You're from the suburbs. What are you doing? Like, you're. And I went down there, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy Mel will be here. He's brought some of his own comics, but he does things. And he's like, oh yeah, there was a random draw. You're going first, and we usually do 9 or 10 minutes. I was like 9 or 10
oh,
what
shit,
minutes?
I got
And
three.
I did. I held
three.
on. I did like 7 or 8.
Did you? There you go.
I'd never gone longer than that.
Wow.
And everybody was so welcoming. The whole place was a great vibe. Somebody bought me a
attic is
drink.
just-
And
the
then
attic
people
is a
like
good spot,
Lump
man.
and Ryan Foster were there, who I'd never met before, pulled me aside. And like, it was just such a community. And I could tell that that was something that you had built. And now here we are over, almost 2 years later. And it's amazing. I was
is March will make my 2nd year at the attic.
Nice.
And
so
I'm
blessed
glad
to
I'm-
be there the last week and had such a great time there too. So yeah, kudos to you for all that hard
Thank
work.
you, man. I appreciate that. And shout out to the Attic Brewing Company. They were voted #1 new brewery in Philadelphia by Philly Inquirer. They
Nice.
came on. They literally started January of 2020, which is the worst time.
The worst time to open a business
we were getting ready
ever.
to die. So how?
Dude, love that
Yeah,
place.
that was season 1 of the pandemic. So
Nice.
yeah, they
for
survived
them.
that shit, man, and now they're thriving. USA Today had them listed, I think 2 or 3 in breweries.
that right? Is that right? I did not know
And you
that.
go in there. You got you got black people, you got gay people, you got white
Oh
people,
yeah, you got the
Girl
whole,
Scouts, Muslims.
girl, yeah,
And
exactly. Girl
there's
Scouts,
never
Muslims.
an issue.
Never.
Never.
There's not a
Seriously?
fight. There's not an argument, and it's in the neighborhood is
It's
not good,
yeah, dude.
There are bullets flying, but they always go around the attic. They just
They go around the
attic is blessed. It's a
the
hallowed
attic
land.
definitely is like they got when the Pope came to visit Philly. He was like, we need an attic.
Now is that every Tuesday? When do you do the
It's
comedy
every
show?
second Tuesday and last Thursday of the month. It got so good we started doing twice a month.
Oh, sweet.
Okay,
So
there you
second
go. You
and-
double the output.
And
Every-
fourth Thursday.
yeah.
So check that out. Mel Harris,
Yeah,
dude. Thanks
appreciate
for being
that.
on the episode. This was a great one,
this
man,
was
dude.
fun. This was definitely
Dude, I
fun.
appreciate your time.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts, Al?
I would say Mel Harris is probably a phenomenal father. I think that's what I
appreciate
take from
that,
that.
man.
Hell yeah, man.
When I hear you talk about the relationship you had with your dad and how you let that come through and create that relationship with your sons, I think that's some solid shit. That's
I'm
some
not
real
going to
shit.
cry in the last 2 minutes.
Yo,
Al wanted it
that's
so
how I
bad.
wanted to cry. Yeah, but you know what though? One thing I do when I see someone being a good father, I make a point of it
Yeah,
to say,
I
"Yo, you're
appreciate
doing the right thing."
Dude, his kid's been in the car the whole time.
My kid has been in the car. Oh my God. I should get a t-shirt. I always want, I should
You
make that a
definitely
t-shirt.
should. Everybody knows you as
Yeah.
the kids in the car. The kids in the car.
Well, dude, well,
Wait
thank
till
you
they
so
find
much,
out you
man.
really in there. Go ahead.
No, thank you so much for
Hey,
coming on.
I
It was
appreciate it. I love you guys.
great time, man, dude. I really
love hanging out
appreciate
with
you.
guys. This was dope.
Yeah, this was fun.
man.
Thanks for coming out.
Yes.
All right.
If you want to
seriously.
plug anything else you got, you plug it.
Go to comedian Mel Harris on Instagram, and you'll see the schedule. The schedule it's heavy.
Hell
Most of them
yeah.
shows will get canceled because of the weather. This is the time of the year. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, you're
All the
right.
promoters like, yo, Mel, I need you, bro. I'm like, you need me just like the weather needs to come. And that winter weather is going to come in March, and the cancellation is going to start because 2 people brought tickets to every show you see listed on that schedule. But yeah, check comedian Mel Harris on Instagram, Mel Harris on Facebook, Mel Harris on meganslaw.com.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Dude. All right, man. Well, another great episode, man. All right. So peace out from us here at Seriously Dad.
Seriously, Dad.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.